a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but that beauty.
Okay. Welcome to the We Us and Our show. I am your host, Michael Phelps from the We Us and Our group. As I always state, the We Us and Our group is an educational group. We are the information group. We talk about problems as well as we talk about solutions, and we talk about how we can look for solutions through the problem. Because most problems, the solution is within the problem. If we ever took the time to look at the problem itself, there is a solution to the problem within the problem. I'm your host, Michael Phelps, once again. Let the Kings introduce themselves.
Eli Jolly.
Raymond Carlisle.
Okay, and our today's topic.
Schools to prison pipeline. Why is it designed this way? Or could we blame it on broken family stemming from the separation of the men and women?
So, U.S. said something profound. You said that that's stupid. It doesn't make sense from school to prison pipeline. Because what they're saying, if you look at how the schools are set up, how the classrooms are set up, how you have to stand in line, all these representation, how things are played out in school, is the same thing they do in the prisons. And it said that as they set us up for the same system that's already. So when we go, we already adapt to the system. That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying.
Yes. Like the lunch trays, the little buses and stuff like that.
Well, that's organization. We've been learning that since we've been in kindergarten, how to stand in line, whether it be to go to the bathroom, go to the restroom, to get water, to go out for recess.
Same system.
I know, but what I'm saying is, that I don't see the connection with the prison, pipeline to prison, because my understanding is that they were saying that because they now have police officers in schools, that they're saying that officers were making arrests in schools, and that they were saying that was the prison the school pipeline to prison. But even with that being said, again, like I said, even that didn't really make sense to me, because if a crime is a crime no matter where it occurs.
Yeah.
If it occurs on the street, it's a crime, it's going to be addressed as a crime. If it occurs in the school, if it's a crime, it's going to be addressed as a crime. If it happens in a home and it's a crime, it's going to be addressed as a crime. So, like I said, that I didn't really quite fully understand the connection there. Elijah, you got something on that?
Anytime you deal with anytime you deal with the prison situation, and get into specific kinds of things, then the powers that be will try to move you all the way away from that. The kinds of dollars that are made by state and federal government based upon prison, of which our participation is definitely overemphasized, it shocks most people. Just the basic kinds of things of like I said, anytime there's a forest fire, anytime there's a disaster, anytime that a organization, depending upon the product that they're manufacturing, runs into a labor manpower situation, they go to the prisons. And quite naturally, those that are in prison will do that kind of stuff they don't make no money, just to get out and get fresh air and do those other kinds of things. This country's commercial money making spills off into the prison kind of thing. And a lot of that, they never let the public know how much money is being stimulated by using free prison work.
Well, yeah, in that regard, I I mean, that's something that's always been around, where they use prisoners to do free work, or do free labor. But when we're talking about the school system and how they're trying to tie the fact that there are arrests or even what's called arrests being made in schools. That's what they're focusing on.
Well, I think it was before that. I think it was just the structure, the infrastructure on how the schools are ran, and the lack of education, the illiteracy, which leads a lot of children with behavioral problems, which causes them, into rotation of that system. School puts paperwork on them, documents certain things. So when it comes time for convictions, all that plays a part on the how they scale them in. I think that's some of the walls that they're climbing on.
Well, I know in the juvenile system, yes, but in the juvenile system, it's just they're adjudicated. I mean, in the juvenile system, it's not a matter of even putting kids in jail. That their focus is more about helping the kids make better decisions, or getting them in classes, or doing different things like that. I mean, it's not a matter of, and when it comes to juveniles, put them in jail. Now, if they're getting tried as an adult, that's different. Because and when you talk about an adult record, they're not. I mean, a judge not really reading. A judge doesn't. As a judge hands out time judgment, he's not reading from your school record. He's reading from your criminal record.
Yeah.
He's looking at the things whether you've been involved in burglaries, robberies, home invasions, murders, or assaults, or obstruction of justice, or even runaways. Been constantly running away from home, or whatever that case may be. But that and even that in of itself is not really considered criminal. That's a status offense. Status offenses are different from criminal offenses. Status offense is simply because you happen to be a child. Yeah. A juvenile.
Well, before I want to go into the number one. Our first question was, if the relationships between men and women would have flourished with so many of our children being incarcerated, if we had better relationships between men and women.
Well, what do you mean by better relationships?
Do you think that if these homes was occupied with a male and a female, parenting as within their full potential, do we believe that a lot of our children would it be as many incarcerations?
Are we speaking generally, or are we talking ethnicity?
We're talking both.
Well, then there's two different subjects. If we're talking general, then the numbers are so skewed as it applies to the European schools, as opposed to blacks that go to European schools, that we never know the juvenile settings in European schools. That's all kept in their communities. The news don't come out and blast it put all over the world. But if we're talking about ours, particularly when we have either an all black school or a number of kids that are being bused out of the community to other schools, then those numbers become very suspicious. They don't let us know the kinds of truancy activity that there is in a school that is mixed. They have no problem in talking about anything as it applies to a community, and there's black schools in the community, because the whole community is scanned by the press and other things and see how it works in general. But when you have a school system that is predominantly European and you have blacks of any significant number in that, then that's where you see where the numbers get kind of crazy. Kids dropping out, kids getting suspended, truancy as it applies to the number of police that are in the facilities and all those kinds of things. So it's something that is very controlled, not for the benefit of the child, but the benefit of the European community.
What were you about to say?
Hmm?
What was you about to say? You were about to say something.
I'm trying to look something up. I mean, like I said, I believe that when it comes to families, it, and I asked you, what specifically do you mean by that? Because there's more to being a parent than there just being two parents in a household.
That's what I said.
You can have a male and a female in a household and they're still not parenting. There can still be a lack of communication. There can still be a lack of teamwork. There can still be a lack of modeling taking place. And so when you
a lot of violence in the home,
and still there's a lot of domestic violence and things like that going on in the home. Improper ways of resolving conflict. So there's so many different ways that could be approached.
But we had a productive, a productive family, male and female, who's productive in their home, within their relationship, where there's honor, there's trust, there's love, and there's caring. Do we think that we're going to see more of those children? Do you think we'll see as many of our children in prison if those homes was like that?
Well, no, because the thing is that what you have right now is you have children having children. You have immature people having children. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And what I mean by that is that not everybody's ready to have children. Not everybody, whether it be financially, psychologically, emotionally, they're not even ready to have children. And it's like, and so all you're doing is passing down anger and frustration and trauma, and it's like, and it's affecting generations upon generations. So you were neglected. You have children, you neglect them. They have children, they neglect their children. They have children, they neglect their children. It's like, when is someone gonna stop and say, wait a minute, let me take care of me first. Let me get me together, and then have children. Then you have something. Then now you're talking about being productive. Okay. Then you consider, okay, even with choosing a mate, not everybody's a good mate. You're having children with the wrong kind of people, wrong women, wrong men. It's just like, and that's a different issue. Okay. You knew y'all wasn't
oil and water.
Yeah, oil and water. Y'all know y'all wasn't a good fit in the first place. Now you turn around and add a child to the equation. Okay? Then you wonder why there's constant conflict. There's constant conflict because y'all wasn't a good fit in the first place. So, it's a matter of truly being responsible in your decision making. But then you might say, I see a lot already. He's like, you can't
Can't make sense out
of
of
a nonsensical situation. I saw it coming.
You can't make sense.
one of the things that when we look at parenting, when loving parents are present and fully present, and they're attentive to their children, and they put the kids' needs before their own, because they want to see the success rate, or parents who have been who maybe suffered through their relationship with their parent, and they want their children to have a better relationship with them, so they work harder at chiseling away some of the things that they didn't get, and they want to make sure they don't mimic what they have been brought up in.
Yeah.
So therefore, do we believe some of those children will still be getting as many as those children being incarcerated? In my opinion, I don't believe so, because I believe that, that will, when those parents actually think like parents, then guess what those parents do? They latch on to the tribe, to the next, to the community, and they have opened up a more relationable with the community. So the village is actually ready. That village can flourish. It's these broken parents who doesn't, since there's a lot of brokenness, that they can't coexist with other parents or other people in dealing with their household, because they got too many secrets. I go here, I work at an apartment complex, or elderly complex, and you'd be surprised how many people don't want you to go in their homes. Let's stay home. You like, what you put in an order for something to get fixed, but you want to be home. To me, you hiding something. I'm not, because the thing is, if you went out the way to put in a work order, that means you want something fixed, right? So why do you, if you have a maintenance guy or a guy or an engineer on deck on hand, why not utilize them to go in and do the stuff so you can get it done and get out and
Well, I'll say this. Now, me personally, I don't have people in my home when I'm not home. However, I schedule it in such a way that I will be home.
Well, that's because you're living in a complex.
Yeah. So, but the same reason that I don't want people in my home is, I'm sure it's the same reason they don't want people in their home. You can't trust everybody in your house.
I agree.
So,
but you can't trust to see allow stuff to be broken.
Yeah.
Or allow stuff not to be
fixed. So it's kind of
it's a catch-22.
It's a catch-22 when you kind of have to do what you got to do when you got to do it. Even though you don't want to do it.
But some people don't have the time to get off.
Yeah, exactly. Because not everybody can take time off like that.
So where it took too much time off, and then all of a sudden something break down there.
Now you have no time to take it. Too many vacation days, too many quote unquote sick days, and there weren't sick days, but now you have no more PTO.
Yes.
So again, that's still again we're talking about responsibility. Because see, when you really need to take time off, that's why you can't afford to just be wasting your time off, because when an emergency comes up and you really need to take the time off, after you just spent all your time talking about, oh, my grandpa died, then my grandma died the week after that, and then after that, my mama died, and after that, my cousin's cousin died, it's like your whole family done died off. You took all the time off work, and I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm just saying is that those are the kind of things that we don't think that our children are paying attention to when we are lying, and then we're teaching our kids how to lie. You don't think that you are. It's no different from even being out on the street and you're driving your car, and you decide to run through a red light because you don't want to wait. Okay, you running stop signs on a regular in your neighborhood or wherever because you don't want to. You're impatient with your child next to you. So then you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, this ain't just about me, but now it's a matter of what I'm teaching them, because guess what? They're watching the whole time.
And the sad part about a scenario like that is that you might run that red light or that stop sign and nothing happened. So then one time you so conscious, you so used to doing it.
Yeah.
You run it, and now I'm saying you seen either the unforeseen come in and hit you.
Yeah.
Either police hiding out or another car hit you dead on. You killed your child or killed yourself in the process, and so that's where the parenting goes wrong at.
And metaphorically speaking, or analogically speaking, you can use that same scenario, and just because something that won't kill you today will kill you tomorrow, simply because it now has become a habit.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's like something that you thought that wasn't a big deal that you did in front of your child today, not realizing tomorrow, whether it be next month, next year, 10 years from now, they've been watching you do it all this time. Now they're doing it. Okay. So then you ask them, well, man, where'd you get this from? They got it from you. You've been you trained them up this way.
And
you see what I'm saying?
And you see that, the sad part is that if you had a father, a grandfather, an uncle, cousins, who all been going in and out of prison, and now your new generation just comes up, and then all of a sudden now they are doing the same, mimicking the same behavior. They in and out of prison.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. That's what we talk about, these parent things. And when we talk about from school to prison pipeline, if parents start to be more active and play a vital role, a more important role, a potent role in their children's life, I think we can stem a lot of that from occurring. Not trying to say that there is no biases out there, and not to say that there is no system in play. Systematics as systems are in play to trap even good kids. That's why we have to be more cognizant as a whole to start utilizing our rights and learning our laws and stuff, so we can protect not only ourselves but protect our next generation to come up.
Well, and with that, I would add this. We talk about all the time the 300 coming to a round table, 360 degrees of understanding.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we understand that in our culture. Okay. Not many of us have high-paying jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. Not many of us can get time off. Matter of fact, we're working 3 and 4 jobs just trying to make ends meet.
We're not bosses.
We're not bosses. Okay.
Later.
We're not making $200,000, $300,000 a year where, we can afford for maybe, the mother stay home, husband work or anything like that. Both parents have to work. Okay. So
2 jobs.
2 jobs. So it's like, so y'all both gone, not able to be home like that. Your kids are coming home, you gone before your kids are even up for school. Okay, because you got to be at work by 6. Yeah. Kids may not have to be at work till 7:30 or whatever the case may be. They got to get themselves up from school, and then they come home from school. You're still not home because because now you didn't went off one job and you going into another job. Okay,
so then you get is a phone call.
Right. So those are facts. So that's our culture. Okay, but then it's a matter of collaboration, 360 degrees of understanding. Okay, how can we work together as a community, as families, to make adjustments where one falls short? Okay, well, maybe I work these hours, and these hours I'm not available, but you available. Okay, so then you can step in.
You remember when we was growing up, when we actually was left at the house?
Yeah.
Our aunties or cousins or
Yes.
somebody will pop up over there to make sure.
That's what I'm talking about.
To do the inventory to make
That's
sure
what I'm talking
everything's
about.
going okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
We didn't. That culture has failed. That's why I said.
Yeah.
That's why we wrote this thing. Let me go to number 2, then we can go back to that.
Yeah.
Elijah, I'm pretty sure Elijah got some stuff. I can see in his brain going nuts over there.
No, he's putting you in place well.
Number 2.
I can leave you alone for a while.
Number 2. Where did we go wrong in the first place? So I believe that where we went wrong at is when we started to allow the television and our phones to raise our children.
Well, it goes further back than that.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to do as I say, not as I do.
Yes.
Okay.
What goes on in this house stays in this house.
What goes on in this house stays in this house. Okay. When you think about that made room for the television. That made room for the cell phone. But then, and just like the other thing we just talked about prior to this, okay, it all kind of built on each other. Where there's no one present, you're going to find something to take its place. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you wonder why our kids are doing what they're doing, okay, who's not taking their place? Who's not taking their time? Or maybe you may not have the time to give, because again, we're talking about so busy, so tied up, so so wore out, trying to make ends meet. Okay, again, that's where it becomes the gift of collaboration. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Let me drop this right in here. You really got we only have one generation that applies to the overall principles that you're talking about. You just saying it makes it sound like that, before a certain period of time, everything was okie dokie. Okay? Only to the time of when African American males came back here from World War II did we have put in place a structure that would be applicable to the American way of life. All right? It had such an economic shift in America that they had to dissolve it instantaneously. Okay? That's why Vietnam War and the Korean War. We're not nonsensical situation. We're not in this country for our benefit. We didn't come here for that purpose. And the structure will do everything in its power, i.e., all our men in prison, single households we're talking about, thinking that we might be able to bring them together sometime. No, that ain't going to happen. Because America is not based upon that concept. It can't be a power base. It cannot be an economic base if it has to make everything pliable, freedom. There ain't no such animal. We're too far in the hole right now to think that we're at a normality to try to implement that. You can't just take all the men out of prisons and put them into a house. Our women have been operating in their survival mode, and in all reality, they've been the men in our community. They started off because they had all the finances to start off with. They've always been in control of the children, right? So when you sit down and you look at the number of males to the number of females, you look at the age brackets, we're so out of skew present time that to try to imagine the betterment causes for too many lifestyle changes and too many generations too soon. There's nothing sensible about what and how we perform today because we're kept out of the ability to do that. People here in Omaha, Nebraska, we can move around. We're still in we're still in the cubbyhole. 72nd, I go to 90th. 90th to the lake, Mormon Bridge to Cummings. South Omaha has small areas that are basically black, but because of the Mexican American community that encompasses it and surrounds it, and also creates a workable situation where some blacks over there can get decent kinds of jobs, you can't even look at South Omaha the same way you do North Omaha. And there are very few other places like that. One of the reasons because they're so small, but the other reason because the political system couldn't allow for that kind of situation to really manifest itself because it would throw their economics out of whack. It's not a by chance situation that we're in. So we're not going to get out of it by chance. There's too much alteration in value set. And now with the thing with the homosexuality, I keep throwing that piece in there. Now that we've got so many of our women that don't, ain't gonna put up with nothing no more, they're gonna get their affection however, sodomy and Gomorrah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and all those things that you've stated are correct. However, it's not a matter of that we're not able to, or that, and you mentioned something that was important: the value system. That's a very big part of it right there. The value system, what people value. Okay, change has to be valued. Doing better has to be valued.
Freedom.
Freedom has to, value. And because when you think about it, it's like, man, I can't, whether I'm watching TV or whatever the case may be, you can't turn on the news or read a newspaper, whatever the case may be, without reading about some home invasion, some burglary, some sexual assault, and the sad part of it is that you're seeing a lot of news about black people in all these crimes. It's just like, come on, it's just like we're working against ourselves then instead of for ourselves. And I mean, yeah, you can't.
Oh, and I want to add a piece to that because I don't want that to be lost. I don't want that to be lost in translation. Who controls the media controls the masses.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the media is able to aim and put their claws and fangs into, that's who they're going to make a victim out of.
Mm-hmm.
So blacks has been the victims because of what the system has allowed. I just want to make sure that piece.
Manifest, not allow, manifest.
But
and the whole point is that I'm not going to allow you. I'm not going to be the target that you aim at.
Yes.
That's the point. It's just like, okay, now that I know that I'm a target, why would I make myself an easy target? Why would I make myself the bullseye to be aimed at?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wait a minute, hold up now. If I know this and this, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. No, because I have a choice. I still have a choice in the matter as to whether or not I'm going to engage or disengage. Take my football and go home. So to speak. And that's the thing. So when you talk about values, and you talk about freedom. Yeah, you got to value the freedom. You got to value wanting to change because, like you've said a number of times, man, we can make sense of sensical situations. This is really what we're talking about now. Is nonsensical. It's not nonsense. It's not nonsensical. It's sensical because you're talking about individuals that have a choice when they value their own children. If I value my child, I'm going to sacrifice for my child. Now, of course, they're already sacrificing, making ends meet, working 2 or 3 jobs, whatever they got to do to kind of make ends meet. But then there's that next level, okay? Then you're talking about asking, getting the help, reaching, because not everybody works the same shift. Okay, you got shifts that overlap. You got some people that work overnight. You got some people that work during the day, whatever the case may be. So if you're an overnight person, and I need somebody to help out during the day, or maybe you don't work that many hours overnight, or you can come home and get a few hours or whatever. Okay, and I watch your children, and you watch mine. Okay, and you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Okay, that in of itself, it takes time. And like you said, it won't be overnight. Because you didn't get there overnight, so it won't change, don't happen overnight. But there's steps in the right direction, and that's a value system.
This whole country, as far as black people are concerned, have always been of the belief, and knowing that the political system was one of the main things that was hampering us when the presidency was shifted over to the Obama family. Our communities were of the belief that having a black man as president of the United States would allow for us to be able to get out of the racism quagmire that we were in, and things would be normal. Mm-hmm. He was in 2 times. Mm-hmm. That's 8 years, all right? In less than 2 years of the next administration being in office, everything was back to usual. No structures were affected. Talking about educational systems, industrial systems, and social systems went right back to the same old way. Because
why?
Because we don't have our own police force. We don't have our own educational system. We don't have our own medical system. And we don't have our own institutional system as far as rehabilitation is concerned.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. And what you're saying is correct. Okay. So if I can't trust you little, how can I trust you much?
Say it again.
What I'm saying, if I can't trust you a little, how can I trust you much? It's the same. So and what I mean by that is this. On a low level, okay, if we can't even trust our own people living next door to us, across the street from us,
Say family.
you know, you can't even trust family in our own household, okay, because of a lack of moral values, okay.
Mental competence is across the board.
Okay, so do you think that it would be worse if we had our own police force? We had our own, because that same mental incompetence would still be present, just multiplied 100 times.
When I make those statements as it applies to those structures being in place, the only way that we can have those structures in place is to be separate away from Europeans.
Well, you remember there was a song when we was growing up in NWA. He said, "Black police showing out for the white cops." And we had an experience, and that saying, what he said on that song came to fruition. An epiphany happened to us at the time when we was driving. We had something illegal in the car. Yes, we did. They didn't know that, but when we got pulled over by the officers, one white and one black, guess who showed their tail? The black guy.
Why would you expect them not? And if you remember correctly, it was a period of time where we as a people recognized that we could not have a police department because they would rule us unequally. So what happened? Do you remember what happened when we came to the conclusion that we couldn't have our own police department? What did we do? Put together the Black Panther Party.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Try to police ourselves.
All right.
Yes.
And what did they do? What did they do? Right off the bat. Corn program, and on all of the key members, they just walked into their houses and shot them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And guess what one of the demise with the Black Panther Party too. Too many of our people is looking for a payout.
Oh yeah.
And so a lot of our leaders who was assassinated by our people who morally didn't have conscience enough to say, you know what, you can't come in and buy me out. You can't pay me enough to kill my brother.
Exactly.
You know,
Jesse Jackson was the key element in that. That's why he didn't run for president.
Well, exactly. But what I'm saying is that mentality has not gone away.
It can't go away.
That mentality, and what I'm saying is, when I say that we work against ourselves, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that mentality has to be dealt with in each and every one of us.
Right.
That mentality has to be dealt with, because in order for us to flourish as a culture, as a family, as a community, we have to have a sense of accountability. We have to have a sense of responsibility, where we say, hey, you know what? I'm responsible for my brother. I'm responsible for my sister. And see, until we have that mindset, and the thing is that it's not hard to get. It's a choice.
And let me bring number 3 in it, because it actually is talking about what you're just saying, what we're talking about. It says, were we only thinking as individuals and not as a community?
Yes.
Not a community, a nation.
Nation, yes.
Okay, we have to function as a nation. Every other nation that comes to this country stays in a nation.
Yes.
Okay.
But they didn't lose their native tongue. They didn't lose their culture. They didn't leave, they don't know. They didn't lose whose they are to know who they are. A lot of them are still. A lot of us are dancing around in the dark, but thinking but hoping to see the light. And they always say, change rolls in on the wheels of integrity.
That's the key right there.
That's too simplistic.
But that's the key.
That's I said. It sounds good,
Well, no,
but it cannot be implemented.
Why not?
Because the creator is not going to switch all of our mindsets just around so we can survive. Okay.
Are you saying that we don't have free choice?
I'm saying that the masses of us, of which presently, normally I would say 75%, but I'll give it a little break and say 60%.
Okay.
60% of that are our women are in charge.
Okay.
The other 40% are either incarcerated, mentally ill with some type of addiction, all right, or have totally forgotten all about it and changed their sex.
So, let me ask you a question. That's important. That's an important piece. So, by that being said, women are running the household because you said 60% of the women are running the household and 40% of the men who either on drugs, which is a choice, and mental health goes from the women and men. So that 60% of women who are running the household, some of them are on that are have mental health and using substances as well. Then you got those 40% of those men that you're speaking of that's locked up in prison who's doing drugs, and then so we're talking from a choice mindset. People are making choices to benefit for themselves, to think individually. That's where we went wrong at. A lot of us think for self and not think for communal or nation. Like you said, nation. We don't think for the nation. We don't think what I do affects us. What I have done over here affects we.
Do you know how to read before you learn how to read?
No.
Okay. We as African American men in this country never reached the point of understanding our responsibility because we were never able to implement that structure until after World War II. Going back to that point. And the thing that we have to realize is that the dynamics are so immediate and overwhelming that some generations don't have a gauge to look at behind, in front of them, and they can't understand the one that is behind them. All right? So when you come here, when you get that ability, you get the education, you get the exposure, you get the little freedom to try some things. You're at all on why certain things don't work. Somebody come up and tell you, oh, man, that's racism. You don't, well, no, I ain't racism. I ain't affected by racism. Oh, that's affected by ignorance. No, I went to school. It's a matter of male and female. Well, no, that's not nice. That it's because of the generational realm that you're in. That's why the sophistication of this system is predicated on Europeans never getting off their scale. They cannot ever let you out of the slavery because they'll forget how they kept you in. All right? But they know that for their survival. They never question those kinds of things. That's why it wasn't until 1957 that they desegregated and stopped racism here, like in Omaha, Nebraska. 1957 wasn't that far ago. Okay? Your generation, I'll go back to this part. Your generation was the only generation that it really came to. but you didn't have the alternatives on what to do to get out of it. So you fought each other, even killed each other. All right? But not understanding the reason why. Just because of the realm that you were in. It wasn't automatic. It wasn't automatic that the family was disrupted. It wasn't automatic that you had to be a man before his time came up. It wasn't automatic that you couldn't trust the person down the street because they was just as hungry and tried to steal from you or whatever. So the implementation, because you were already enslaved in the geographical area, in order to free yourself, you had to kill your own. Okay? It's so sophisticated because the main thing that would have caused us not to fall prey to it was spirituality, of which during your generation, that wasn't even something you'd be thinking about. You know, church don't have no meaning. You might go to church, don't do nothing, do that, but wasn't nothing meaningful coming out. Wasn't nothing happening there to let you know that this is the way for you to get out of the mess that you was in, because the damage had already been done. The Europeans didn't put together a situation that was just going to be worrisome every 20 years or every generation, that they had reinforced it to make it stay the same way it was. It had to be logistical. That's why they control the educational system. That's why they control the drug system. That's why they control the communication system. That's why they control the food access system, is to maintain their structure. Those of us who have enough knowledge to do every kind of thing end up dead somewhere else or whatever. It's not going to alter until, I use this term, but it might throw everybody off. It's not going to alter until there's, and it may not happen, until there's a divine intervention. But that divine intervention is not going to be a point of patting us on the back. It's going to be a point of neutralizing or annihilating. The enemy, they don't have any concern about whether their kids go to school or not. But they ain't concerned about them being able to get a job. They're not concerned about if they're going to have a family that's wholesome, because they don't have to worry about just going to prison to be going to prison for anything, because their system doesn't say X amount of males, take them off the street and put them in jail. They're not interested in breaking down their family unit. They're interested in breaking down our family unit because they did not bring us to this country in a family unit. They brought us here to be slaves. And anything other than that is a hindrance to them.
So the question is, not that all those things are true, okay? So the question is, what do we do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Because we recognize or understand that there's a problem. Obviously, there's a problem. Okay.
Situation.
Or situation. Okay. So now, how do you fix the situation? It's no different from. I mean, I think back to when I had this old '84 Bronco. Old '84 Bronco. Okay. Now, no one had ever showed me how to fix timing on a vehicle, get it started. Okay. But I learned. Okay. Now it took me a little while. Okay. The truck sat in my garage for a little while. I had to keep going back, tinkering, keep going back, tinkering, and then all of a sudden one day it turned over. Okay. So the potential of learning was there. I just had to tap into it. I had to determine within myself not to be conquered by what it is I was facing. Okay, and so as we talk about the problem, okay, we have to reach a point where we're determined not to be conquered by what it is that we're facing. Okay, we know there's a problem. Okay, so in other words, if we know there's a problem, we realize that we're suffering from the same problem. Why would I have an issue with you, knowing that me and you are suffering from the same problem, but yet I'm going to take from you, hurt you, kill you, destroy you, knowing that we're in the same boat, suffering from the same problem. I'd be better off signing you on as a team player because we both recognize it's a problem, and then in collaboration. Because see, the thing is that I can see two minds better than one. I can see that there's a problem. You can see that there's a problem. But see, when I look at it, I see the problem a little different from the way that you see the problem.
That's because we have no unified spirituality. That's it.
And to add to what y'all was saying, on number 4, it says, it said, can men and women fix the issues? And if so, how?
That's already been tampered with through homosexuality. They've already separated us to the point where a woman doesn't really care anymore about where she gets affection from, just as long as she gets an affection. Gets affection. Same thing with men. If the devil is left in charge, we will not do godly things.
Well, this is the thing. Hold on a second. Thing is that I won't say that I won't necessarily say the devil's left in charge. Okay.
Right.
Hold on. I'm not gonna go too deep with this, but I'm gonna say this. Okay. The devil is only able to do what we allow him to do.
Oh no, brother.
Oh yes.
No, the devil is the spirit who was given autonomy by the Creator because he challenged the Creator that if you let me do what I need to do, I will overcome you. All right? No, you can't. We don't have any power to affect demonistic activity. The only way that you can affect it is not absorb it. If you don't have any rights to do anything for over 300 years,
What do you mean absorb it? Tell me what you mean by absorb it.
whatever it is that takes to remove devilishness from around you, remove it.
Okay. That's control, isn't it? That's a choice.
We have never been in this country in any position to take enough charge of our own lives to remove demonistic activities from around us.
What we're talking about is this. Okay. Individually.
Not group wise. Slavery was not individual.
Well, no, listen to what I'm saying. Okay. Individually, okay, we may not have power, right? But as a unified front, we do. What I'm saying is, if me and you, just like the example I used earlier, if me and you are in the same boat and we're fighting a common enemy, okay, we both have something to contribute. We both got something to bring to the table. 3 of us sit here, okay? We can look at the same problem and we're going to all see different solutions to that problem. That is collaboration.
Garveyism, Black Panther parties, what is the other? There have been several huge national movements for us as a people to unify, absorb our culture, and do it independently. Okay, every time the individual, Martin Luther King, every time the individual is either killed or removed somehow, the movement, Black Panther Party is the biggest example.
But like Mike said earlier, who did they use?
You mean who they use?
Who they use to infiltrate?
By any means necessary. They ain't got no scruples.
No, they use black people.
By any means necessary.
But
they ain't got no scruples.
That's my point. What I'm saying is,
if you're sick already, it doesn't matter about
what I'm saying. My point is this. Okay, it's not that those things could not have helped without the infiltration of those who allowed themselves to be used to infiltrate.
What things?
Black Panther Party, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay. Martin Luther King, as you mentioned.
Right.
Malcolm X, as you mentioned.
Right. Well, you got to add the main source to the problem, which was lack of morals. When they signed up, they went to.
You mean lack of morals?
When they went to
when they lack of morals, you talking about having a lack of morals?
The persons that they was able to use lack morals, lack consciousness, lack unity, lack love. They lack support. They did not. Their goal was to benefit for themselves. If it was just the crumbs off the table, they wanted it.
Give me an example.
When they went after Martin Luther King,
okay,
and to assassinate him,
mm-hmm.
or Malcolm X,
mm-hmm.
or the Black Panther Party,
mm-hmm.
they had to go use people that didn't have a moral conscience.
Who? Martin Luther King didn't have a moral conscience?
No,
I'm trying to. I don't understand where you using a large statement to justify our whole existence. Okay?
He's saying the people that they used to assassinate didn't have a moral conscience. He's not saying Martin Luther King didn't have a moral conscience. He's saying that the person that they used to assassinate Martin Luther King didn't have a moral conscience.
Europeans, yeah.
Okay.
Right. We know they're the ones that keep us in this, but we know they ain't got no moral conscience.
The Europeans were smart enough to know that there's people that walk like them, talk like them, and speak and speak like them. Don't have a moral conscience because they can't just go to anybody. Just like Satan, he didn't know he couldn't just go to Adam. He found the weaker vessel, someone that had a weaker mindset.
Europeans don't have a moral conscience.
But when we talk about those they implemented to help assassinate the leaders.
Europeans don't have a moral conscience.
We know we're not talking about Europeans. You said what is the problem? We talk about the problem. The problem is the European could not go in and assassinate them with their own hands. They hired a hired hand to go do it. That means one of us, someone who lacked the moral conscience, lacked the love, lacked the unity, lacked the family structure, lacked nation building as a way to get close to that person.
If they use us to do it, we are already sick. I'm not,
that's what's going on even here today. We sick.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying is, and that's what we're talking about. That's our purpose of having this conversation is that we've got to get to a point where we stop being sick, where we're choosing to be sick, where we're even allowing ourselves to be sick. Because this is the thing. Again, we talk about valuing freedom, valuing change, valuing your children, valuing family, valuing the community.
Separating.
And what I'm saying is, and what I said earlier is this. Even with separation, as you said, that's separation. But no, this is the thing, okay? Even apart from separation, what are many of us doing now that are still contributing to the problem?
Once we establish that we have to separate, then we will police ourselves.
Okay. Okay. Let's do this. Let's back up and go back into the. Because I'm looking at the sand, looking at the footprints in the sand, and I want to make sure I go back and understand what you're saying. As I'm seeing people walking, and all of a sudden, when I look, I see the footprints, but I don't see no one. The people that assassinated our leaders, we didn't see them amongst us. We thought they was one of us. We thought they was one of us. We confided. Some of them people was in your inner circle.
You were in the secret meetings.
They was there in the beginning of the time of starting the whole process. The whole organization or the whole thing. And then for some reason, someone seen one of those ones that don't have morals, whites, as you said. They didn't have no morals, but they had morals enough to know, and that guy right there, he's looking at him funny. I bet you we could get him.
Europeans assassinate presidents, but they don't throw them off their stride.
But what I'm saying is that you have to pay attention to the writing on the wall. There's certain things that you have to pay attention to.
But like, give me an example. I don't know what you mean by writing on the wall.
Well, I'm not gonna keep debating.
Well, but I can't understand what you're saying.
Well, you need to catch up.
Well,
we're not playing Heinz catch up.
I don't know. I don't perceive it as catching up.
Well, if you said And we can't do it because of what? The system. The system has a system, and the system
Europeans have a way of life.
they have a system,
that we've tried to integrate into.
And their system is, if they see that someone is moving up, and to keep their hands from looking bloody, they go and hire someone inside of that organization or within that organization to assassinate or to bring down that individual.
All the presidents who were assassinated by a white man.
And and how did they know? How did they know which man to use to assassinate the president?
It doesn't make any difference who it was because they knew after they assassinated him that they had someone very close within that realm to take over and went in the direction that they wanted to go. But the whole breakdown in the whole European culture. It was a breakdown of the immediate leadership because that leadership wasn't doing what they need to have done. So they got rid of him so their leadership could come in and take over.
Since you was an elder at that time when Martin Luther King and them passed away, how come none of y'all rised up to the occasion after Martin Luther King fell?
Right. So we just
No, I'm talking about right.
We have always been ignorant. Majority. That's why I go back to the foundation of our education. Foundation of our education is based upon Christianity, and then the second one is based upon their educational system. It was on into the 60s.
What is our greatest enemy?
Who?
What is our greatest enemy?
At the present time?
Yes.
Ourselves.
And within ourselves, how do you identify? What do you name it?
We don't recognize where our problem is.
Illiteracy. We're illiterate, and being illiterate makes you ignorant.
What do you mean we're illiterate? What do you mean you're illiterate?
What do you perceive? And you said we are worse than why? You said because we don't what?
Ignorant.
We
You said because we're ignorant.
We are ignorant.
Okay, ignorant.
Right.
Okay. What do you mean by that, Tom?
Our educational system does not educate us to be self-sufficient like they do their own children. All right? There are very few books in the educational system that even allude to certain black folks. Everything is based upon whites. We wanted to integrate into their system, so we had to read about their Dick and Jane.
We wanted to integrate in their system. So said it again.
So my question.
Yeah, we wanted to integrate into their system.
So my question.
Right.
So I have a question. Okay. When I read a book, just because that book happens to have a white face, brown face, green face, purple face, whatever color face, okay, I can insert myself. So I can still glean the knowledge that I need to glean from that book and apply it to my life. Whether it's meant to be applied to your life, I don't care about that.
That's a strong individual thought.
Okay.
The masses of us, probably the reason why we're on here communicating, the masses of us are nowhere close to that kind of consciousness.
But see, what I'm saying is that just and I've used this before. You know, when you think it back to the days of slavery, there was always one. Okay, whether you deemed them as educated or not, they had enough sense that they wanted to be free. There was always one.
Oh, there's more than that.
Okay, of course.
Yeah, but the only thing we learn about is on television. We don't have an education that gives us an understanding of reality.
But my point is this. Okay, my point is that it's always been there. There's always been. What I'm saying is that mindset has always been.
Which mindset?
The mindset to overcome freedom has always been in our culture. Okay, it may not have been shared amongst a vast majority.
Oh yeah.
But there's always been a few in there that said, wait a minute, no, you're not gonna hold me down. No. I'm gonna find out how to read. No. I'm gonna find out how to learn. Even if I gotta peek in, even if I gotta put my ear to the door, even if I gotta befriend somebody to get what I need to get. But what I'm saying is that same mindset that was then and has always been present in our culture.
Right.
Okay, we're not all ignorant.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so for those of us who are not ignorant, and even for those who are ignorant, which is fine, you don't have to stay ignorant, is my point.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is, why not learn from those who are not ignorant? Why not the ignorant set aside their pride and learn from those who are not ignorant so they can get out?
That's why there's so many black men in prison.
Okay.
And guess what? There's more black men out of prison who are in prison.
Same difference.
Mentally.
Right.
So I know men who got out of prison and did 30, almost 25, 27 years. And they're the most brilliant men I heard. And they out here teaching and educating other kids to not go down the same path that they took.
Are they in the school system?
Yeah, they going through the school system. They talking to, they going all over they traveling across the United States trying to educate our young people.
That's very positive.
And you know what the first thing that one of my big bros told me? He said, prison is in the mind. It's a mindset.
Yes.
He said, I was not going to allow prison. He said, even though they falsely accused me and I said it was 20, 25, 27 years. He said, I was not going to allow them to keep me prison. To keep me. He said, when I was in prison, I was free.
That's very good. Hopefully there are a larger number of African American, particularly males, that are incarcerated for a shorter length of time that will have enough inflicted self-confidence that they can do that. Unfortunately, with the types of treatments that are going on inside the prison, medical, psychological treatments, the number of males that come out are more likely to go back in than to come out and try to rehabilitate those that are out here taking the same road that they took. Because the Europeans have seen these types of traits and they've already put in place those kinds of things to restrict.
Well, see, the thing is, again, like I'm saying, where there's one, there's two. Where there's two, there's three. You know, even when I kept saying, you know, when I said earlier, one, you said, well, there were many more than that. You were 100% right. There were many more than that. So if there were those, then there are more. And more can be made from those if need be. But again, one has to have an ear to ear in order to learn. You know, and I'm not talking about just hearing, but actually listening. Listening, when one listens, that's a matter of trying to understand, trying to comprehend, trying to grow, trying to mature to a higher level. But when you have, it's just like, I have kids all the time. I'm like, hey, you know, black kids, hey, why are you wearing blacks? You know what I hear? Well, hold on, can I say it? I said, well, why are you in that class? Oh, well, at least I'm not skipping. Or they don't care if I'm late. What do you mean they don't care if you're late? You should care if you're late. You see, I mean, you get what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that's a mindset.
I understand that. What was the principal reason why your generation had gangs?
Principal reason?
What was the principal reason why there were gangs?
Gangs.
Gangs. Right.
Well, there's so many different variables, but everybody didn't join the gang for the same reason. One of the reasons was a lot of families was breaking up, and so a lot of
families were breaking up.
They were broken up, and so then they went out into the community to form their own families, which everything in hindsight 22 is tribal. So we had tribal blood in us already.
I mean, you had tribal blood in you.
Elijah, come here. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna say this one more time. Don't keep challenging it. This is not a debate show. No. We're talking. You keep trying to debate a subject matter. If you want to debate, go somewhere else and debate. They're not doing debate here. This is not the show for debating. I don't know why every time you talk, you want to debate. We're having a discussion. I'll wait for you. But anyway, and thank you for leaving. If you felt like we had a debate, I appreciate that. We're dealing with and I'm sorry, panel. I don't like to be rude, but sometimes we have these. I have to mention this. We're not a debate show. We're not here to outshine each other and try to overtalk and tell each other where they right or wrong and try to prove who's right. If this was going to be that show, I would have set this up differently. That's why I'm not allowing that here. We're not here to do that. We're here to have a discussion. We're talking about the community issue. If you have a point, bring your point. If you don't like that point, then don't speak on it. Just let someone else speak on it. This is not that type of show. We're not here to debate. So I don't want nobody to be taking that personal. But anyway, moving forward, we're talking about prison and education. Our education system can be utilized if we go beyond and above the call of duty to learn. A lot of us just only learning from a micro level. There's many of us who wants to learn above our level, who wants to exceed learning. So we need more of those people who wants to learn more. When I was going to school, yes, I was bored and I dropped out. Remember? Right. I dropped out at 9th grade. Watch all my little cousins and them graduating from high school, bragging about it. I felt a certain way. So guess what I ended up doing? I ended up going to Job Corps. I got in trouble first. Judge gave me an ultimatum to either go to Job Corps or go to jail. Mm-hmm. So I went to Job Corps. And when I went to Job Corps, I had to apply. I seen the racism there. So I started to apply myself. And I went there and I took the elevated course of college. Went to Shiloh University for a year. Didn't like it because it wasn't it was too far out. So I wanted to come back to Omaha. I got back to Omaha. I went through my little thing, and then all of a sudden I ended up going to Creighton. So you can apply yourself. You can make the necessary changes when you want to. It's the thing about one. That's why I said change rolls in on the wheels of integrity. Once you have some integrity about yourself and you know what you're about and you know that's not you, you make the necessary changes that you need to do.
And the thing is, and to add to that, it's okay to be patient with yourself. It's okay that just because you're not getting there as fast as somebody else, don't compare yourself to other people.
Yes.
Go at your own pace. Sometimes you might be in a classroom, and we've all sat in classrooms, we had that one student, so they have to raise their hand, know all the answers to all the questions, and just get on your nerves. Because couldn't nobody else learn anything, because every time their hand just kept shooting up, and they had all the answers. Now,
and talk about the kids that actually felt stupid because they couldn't answer.
Right. Exactly. And see, the thing is that maybe you knew the answer, but you just couldn't you just weren't confident or couldn't shoot your hand up fast enough to get called on to be able to say the answer. Maybe it took you a little longer to process, and that's okay. Everybody doesn't process information at the same time and at the same rate. Yes. It doesn't mean that you know less. It just means it just takes you a little longer for whatever reason. Maybe your sense of processing is it's a different process from someone else. But that doesn't mean that you're any less smart or any less intelligent than that person. Yeah. And so it becomes important where you learn to be patient with yourself. Where you go home, you say, okay, maybe in the classroom, or maybe you're in college, and and you're in a class, and it seems like it's a little too fast paced for you. As a professor or whoever's teaching, and they're teaching, and maybe it's a little too fast paced for you, and you can't quite keep up. Okay, take notes, go home, slow it down for yourself.
And that's why they give you tutors.
Yeah.
So you can apply yourself when you don't have all the knowledge or all the wisdom, not all the understanding. They say that you are able to ask for help.
Right.
So someone can guide you through those processes.
At your pace.
At your pace. So we just need to understand that I don't like I said, I got a shotgun and I'm shooting that T off the word can't. So the word can be can. Because this is what we need to do. We can do whatever we want to do. It's a choice if we all going to choose to do it together. That's where the problem is at. The choice is that we going to do it together. There's individuals who are doing it, but we need to do it as a collective.
Right.
Because this is, like he said, the elder said, it's about building a nation. We have to think nation-minded. We can't think individual-minded.
And you have to see yourself as an integral part of the team.
Yes.
It's not about how can I make myself shine, but how can we shine?
Exactly.
And that's the thing. If everybody does their part, we can shine. But if you don't respect the team and you only respect yourself, but then it's no longer we, it's an I. And that's what we have to be really careful of, because family you have that same thing going on. If you have a mother that cares more about having a man laying in her bed than she cares about raising her own children, or the fact that she has a daughter, that she's trying to raise a daughter, she's bringing some strange man up into her house, and then that strange man ends up laying with her daughter because she didn't think
or her son,
or her son, because she didn't think far enough ahead, that she was so desperate to have somebody in her bed laying next to her that she didn't consider the consequences of what could occur by doing those things, or even and maybe not the mother and father, same thing, not understanding the consequences of quitting his job and saying, well, forget it, I quit my job because my boss made me mad, when you got a family at home to take care of. Consequences. It's just like, we got to get better at making decisions and weighing out the cost of the decisions that we make, because it is that's in the families. It's going to promote growth in the communities.
and it's going to stop a lot of incarcerations.
It's going to slow everything down.
You know what I mean? And I'm gonna skip 4 because 4 we already talked about. So we in prison. So I'm gonna go down to number 5. Number 5 is why are they sentencing our babies who at a young age are fully developed as adults yet? Why do you think they're targeting our children now more so at a younger age? I know a lot of them are doing
Adult things, adult crimes,
but half of them really don't know what they still ain't developed enough to make. They still should be charged as a juvenile.
Well, this is
Because you putting a young kid in an adult
they're not doing
situation.
They're not putting young children in adult prisons. After they reach of age, they keep them. Then they go to an adult prison.
Well, they said adult. They said most of our men don't mature to 25.
Well,
Why
I'm just saying. But
I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, they're saying that they got studies now that say
But they can put them in the prison.
their brains are fully mature until they're 25. But the reality is this. Again, you have to look at the problem. Okay, why are our young people, very young people, 12-year-olds,
10 years old,
10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 9-year-olds, committing adult crimes? Because you have adults
Teaching them.
who don't want to do adult time, using the young people to do crimes, and so it's like, so the problem. So where does the problem truly lie? Does the problem truly lie in the system, or does the problem lie in the people who are hiding behind these young people, encouraging them to do these crimes?
And most of the time, it's a buffer of both. But it's mostly when we're looking at it from our standpoint. If we want to change our conditions, then we got to look at it from internal. It's bleeding on the inside,
Right.
And nobody's dealing. Everybody, what they're doing, they're trying to put a band-aid on the outside,
Right.
but it's bleeding on the inside.
Exactly.
So we need to focus on the inside, the internal bleeding, and stop it, and stop trying to mask it on the outside.
Right. Because so you wanna blame an external issue. You want to blame an internal issue
On the external,
on external problems. or it's like it's not the issue is not external, it's internal. And so we have to deal with ourselves. We have to be accountable for ourselves. We have to again count up the cost of our decision making, because again, in order for us to change as a culture for future generations, let's not set them up. Let's not set up our future generations for failure.
Yes.
But let's not set up our 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds to be doing crimes. Don't set them up like that.
Yes.
How about showing the right thing instead of the wrong thing?
And we yell in our community about we need education, we need more doctors, we need more lawyers, we need more constructions, we need more demolitions, we need more. Raise them in that area, raise them in that facet.
Right. And don't just push them towards sports.
Yeah,
Don't just think that our people are only good for sports. Okay.
Or rapping.
Yeah, or being a rapper.
Yes.
There's anything wrong with those. Okay. But what we're saying is that that's not all we're good for as a culture.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we're talking about building the nation, if we're talking about nation building,
that means we need
all fields.
Yes.
Yes, we need them entertainers. Yes, we need. We don't need that. We don't need a flood market. They flooded the market. They flooded everything with entertainment, rappers and stuff. Now we need more doctors, more lawyers. We need to get lawyers so we can stop our men from going to prison by the system that they got up. We need somebody that can interpret those systems, those laws, so we can help keep those kids out. Because some of them kids are innocent, and some of them go in there, and once they go in there innocent, guess what they have to do when they get in there? Some of them become an animal because it's about survival in there. Mm-hmm. So now they upset and bitter because the system put them in a place where they weren't supposed to be. So now they bitter. So guess what? They're gonna make victims out of victims, mm-hmm. because they've been victimized. So we gotta change the narrative. That's why we need more lawyers. That's why we need more doctors. We need more people that can heal. We need more psychiatrists. So we can actually deal with this mental health issue.
We need attorneys.
Yeah, we need chemical dependent
courtrooms.
Yeah, and we need chemical dependent people that know how to deal with people with substance abuse.
Right.
Because we got a lot of that going on in our community, and we need people that know how to deal with rape, because there's a lot of people in our community that's been raped. They've been raped in many areas,
right? Not
just physical. There's rape in other areas, like you said, an elder using a young kid to create crime. That's raping that kid because you raping them out of his future.
Yes.
You a pedophile. You preyed upon that young victim.
Because you knew they didn't know better, and you knew that they were looking for your accolades, they were looking for your pats on the back, they were looking for your acceptance,
approval,
and because your approval. So what did you do with their desire?
With their innocence, you took advantage of it. You took advantage of it. You was a pedophile. That's what a pedophilia. That's what that pedophile. It goes in many areas. And a lot of people don't want to use that word, but that's what you did. When you take advantage of someone's innocence, mm-hmm. and you manipulate them, yes. You rape them of what they could have been.
You steal their potential from them.
Yes. So this is why we're talking about these subjects.
Yeah. So in other words, we as a culture, those who are older, we should be laying the foundation for our young people. Fathers should be laying the foundation for their sons. Mothers should be laying the foundation for their daughters. Grandfathers, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody involved in the life of everybody. Even if it's somebody else's child, it's like back in our day, it was like, it took a community, it took a village to raise children. Even if it's somebody else's child, be an appropriate role model to them, mm-hmm. and set them up. Because why? Because what you're doing is you're contributing to the breaking of those generational curses. You're contributing to a change, a cultural change or cultural shift by doing your part. But if you don't do your part, but yet you sit around and complain and say, man, what's wrong with our young people today? Our young people are so disrespectful. But look at yourself and ask yourself, wait a minute, what am I doing? Am I doing my part to contribute to what it is, to the change that I want to see?
And I say this to parents. when we take on a partner and then we produce children, our children by rights needs to see what intimacy looks like in the home. They need to see a loving, caring mother and father. A father complimenting his mother all the time. A mother complimenting their father. They need to see them hug and give a kiss when they come in. Because then you want to talk about why we ain't got no good men and women out here, because they only mimicking what they seeing in the home. You have a fly-by-night type relationships in your home, going on in your home, where it's sex, not intimacy. Kid don't get to see nothing intimate in that home. So guess what? It's going to mimic what it's seeing in the home. It's going to go out and treat a woman like how his mother's being treated, or how his dad is treating women.
Then we got these TV shows.
Yes, love and hip hop and all that bull.
And what it does, it perpetuates the problem. Keeps the problem going. Now you're sitting around and laughing and being entertained by these broken families, these women that don't respect husbands that don't respect their wives.
Women carving themselves up, getting fake booties and all this stuff. And men got so much money, they flaunting it around every time they talk. It's nothing but what they got. You know, it's a herd of issues that we deal with. It's an octopus full of many tentacles that is wrapping around us and that is choking us out. We need to break away from all that crap
and be more mindful of what it is that we're allowing ourselves to be entertained by. Not only just us, but also our children.
Yes.
Sometimes you're sitting there watching these shows with your children and laughing and cackling and chopping it up with them while the show's on.
It's and having a good conversation with them about it. I want to see what the old girl will do.
Right.
You know that's
not helping. That's hurting. That's working against you. That's working against us. That's not working for us.
Exactly.
And that's the thing is that it's like how about reading a book or reading something that's going to contribute to where it is that you want to go, and then talk about that. Let that be the dinner conversation, or let that be the conversation while you're sitting there spending time with one another or hanging out, whatever the case may be. It's like it's like when you're trying to get somewhere, you got to do all you take the necessary steps, however long it takes. And again, as I say, for everybody it's different, and it's okay. If it takes you a little bit longer, that's okay. But this is something that you want to chisel out every day. You want to make it a point to work towards that goal every day, no matter if it's just 10 minutes a day. And then because that 10 minutes will turn into 20 minutes, that 20 minutes will turn into 40 minutes, that 40 will turn into 60 minutes, and before you know it, you're doing it for 3 hours or whatever the case may be. It's like you just got to start.
Yeah.
No matter how small it is, you just start. That's how we bring about change.
And that goes into number 6. It says, where does the behavior and patterns of disrespect start first? Is it in the home, or did it start in the streets first?
It starts in the home.
Some people think it started in the street. It starts from the home.
It starts in the home.
And
we don't realize it starts in the home because the reason why we don't realize it starts in the home because sometimes it starts on a very low level.
Mm.
But you don't understand that low level multiplies.
Yes.
And when you so it's like the subtle disrespect. The wife towards her husband, or the husband towards the wife, or the child towards the mother, or even when you think about your child being 5 years old, and you thinking that child being disrespectful is funny.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's cute. You're videoing it and everything but you don't realize that you're setting them up for failure.
Yeah.
You don't realize that you're setting them up to be disrespectful. Mm-hmm. What you think is funny today is going to hurt you tomorrow. You don't realize it. It's like, no, you as a parent, you have to look for every opportunity to teach. And your children must understand that there is a certain line that they just can't cross with you.
And children need to understand there has to be a level of fear within that structure between the parents and the child. But so when that child goes out, if it ain't scared of nothing else, it should be scared that I'm gonna disappoint my parents.
Yes, that's the kind of fear we're talking about.
And that's the fear I'm talking about. And that's where we need that. Children need to go back to, because I remember when we was growing up, I didn't want to disappoint my grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know why it was my grandpa over my mom, but it was something about me and my grandpa's relationship that I was more fear of disappointing him.
Right.
Because he always tried to instill so much stuff in us.
Right.
And we was just constantly like, young bulls, older bull trying to tell you something, I want to listen to the old bull, he don't know what I know, because I had to go through my own learning curve. But as you start to develop, you start to grow and develop, everything that old bull was telling you starts to come into fruition.
Makes sense.
It starts saying, hey, you know what? But grandpa said that to me back in the day, and I didn't get it. I remember he told me, boy, get out. I remember that one time he told me, he said, boy, get out of the fast lane and learn to enjoy the ride. And I never understood what he meant by that. So then one day I was driving. I used to drive constantly. We was going to, I forgot where we was going in Tennessee. We was going somewhere. And every time we drove, we was going to Atlanta all the time. Every time we would drive, and I would always look over and I'd be like, man, I look over there and I never paid attention to it. And one day I said, what's the house? Was the house over there? Because I was driving slower this time. Mm-hmm. I said, man, I didn't know that house. I didn't know that house had a couple cows over there. Right. And then it registered. My grandpa said, boy, get out the fast lane and learn to enjoy the ride, enjoy the scenery. Yes. I started to pay attention to the scenery. And that's how people, when they travel, they look at street signs, they look at all that stuff. So when they get lost, they say, oh, I remember I've been here before. Right. But if you're driving fast, you don't pay attention.
And that's what, and I like that analogy, because that again can be applied in the home as well. Mm-hmm. When it comes to your children, understand that things add up. Don't be moving so fast that you're missing those opportunities to teach. Sometimes you come and going so fast, you're not paying attention when there's slight changes with your child going on. Mm-hmm. You don't see the changes in their demeanor. You don't notice that today, for 4 days they haven't wanted to eat for some reason. You ever notice that all of a sudden they don't want to go to school? You don't notice, all those things.
Hiding from your boyfriend.
Or hiding from your boyfriend.
You don't catch the sign.
You don't miss it because you're so busy going fast that you're not slowing down to pay attention to the scenery. Mm-hmm. And so when you slow things down and pay attention to the scenery, you catch more things, you see more, and you're able to address more. And that's where our kids say, there's some kids that feel like their parents, even though their parents are at home, their parents could be at home, and at the same time they're at home and still feel like they ain't spending no time with them, don't know anything about them, mm-hmm. because everybody's doing what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you gotta slow it down a little bit. So I like that story that you told, because that was very applicable what we're talking about.
Yeah. What's number 7?
Number 7. What is our solution in addressing these issues? What is our solution in addressing these issues?
One of the things we need to do is, like I said, we need to, I know Elder don't believe that men and women relationships can fix a lot of these issues. I believe they can. I believe that once we get these homes, if we can start working on the home fronts, and get those relationships back in order, or in order. He'll say that we never had it. I would say I remember we had it. We didn't have fathers in the home. Yes, that's the part what he's probably talking about, because we was growing up with single parents too. But they were still a community. It was still a community though, even though.
And there were other males.
Yes.
Within the family that at least we had. I mean, like I said,
that would rise up.
I had your grandfather, my uncle, mm-hmm. that played instrumental in my growth, and instrumental in my maturity, instrumental in me learning how to be respectful and those kind of things, mm-hmm. from a man's perspective.
Yeah.
And held us accountable for it. Taught us to have a sense of integrity when we borrow money. That we made sure we paid it back. Taught us the importance of keeping our word. Yeah. taught us the importance of going to work. I mean, again, it wasn't the greatest, circumstances where, having to ride in the back of a cold truck 3-4 o'clock in the morning and freezing cold back there.
Yeah.
But we did it. And he said you had to be there on time.
And he made sure all of us worked.
Yes.
And he paid us out of his little income that he was getting. He paid all of us boys that went to work to clean up a restaurant where they was saying racial slurs. They were saying a lot of disrespectful stuff to my grandpa. Mm-hmm. My grandpa would laugh it off and keep working
so he could provide for his family.
And you talking about some racial stuff. I'm talking about these firemen, police chief, remember all them sit there and drink coffee in the morning? And they used to just do racial comments constantly. And I remember I was the first one to ever say something. And me and my grandpa fell out for 2 years. I don't know if you remember that. We fell out for 2 years. We didn't speak for 2 years. That's when I started going to Creighton. Mm-hmm. Grandpa dropped out of 3rd grade. He thought that you didn't need education. He thought education made you bougie. Mm-hmm. So, he had a problem with sports and education. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, I ended up getting accepted at Creighton. And cops, firemen, lawyers, all of them used to be there in the morning drinking coffee. And I remember the guy named Mr. Bagley. He was the chief of the fire department. He was the chief of the fire department, and he did the sirens for Nebraska. He did the loud sirens. He was the one that messed with them too. Mm-hmm. So, and he was like, "Hey, boy, I heard that you going to Creighton." I said, yeah, I got accepted at Creighton. He goes, "Oh man, that's good, boys. That's good, boys." He said, I'm glad. He said, "That's a prestigious school. A lot of our chief of police and a lot of our kids are going there." He said, "That's great that you going there." Then he said, so my grandpa got a whiff of hearing them praising me. He comes in and he goes, "Did you stock that beer?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yes, sir. I already stocked it, grandpa." I said, "It's already taken care of it." So he goes in. Some reason he never went and looked at it. So he opens it up. And I didn't have the labels turned up, faced up. So he went and said, "Boy, what are they teaching you at that school?" I said, "Grandpa, they don't teach you how to pack beer." He had that big old broom, and he took that as me being disrespectful. So he was trying to hit me with the broom, and I said, and this is what I said. I said, "Grandpa, I'm not going to let you hit me." I said, "I'm telling you, Grandpa, I'm not going to let you hit me." I don't know for some reason, when he looked at me, he must thought he seen something in me where he didn't, he got scared. I ain't going to say he got scared. There's something that made him see something different. He went like this, like Whoopi did on that movie, Color Purple. He said, "From this day forward, you can't ask me for nothing. All I heard was doom doom. You can't come by my house, doom doom. And this man, you disrespected me, doom doom." And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I'm telling you. So we didn't talk for 2 years, and then he got sick. He got real sick, and it was to the point where he was on his deathbed. Then he told Uncle John. He said, "Go get Michael. I need to talk to him." When he came, Uncle John told me on I think it was on a Tuesday. I was staying with Uncle John at the time. He told me on a Tuesday. I think I didn't go see. No, I wasn't staying with Uncle John at the time. I was staying with so Uncle John said, "Daddy wants to see you." He said he needs to see you. He ain't doing well. And I said, "Oh, okay." And I still spaced it off because I had so much homework and stuff. We piling on that homework. I didn't have time, so. Then one day, John said, "I think Dad's going to pass. I think you need to go see him." So I went to go see him. And I went there. Grandpa was a real big dude. Skin just dripping off of me. Just looked frail. And just looked like my grandpa. It hurt me so bad. We had we didn't reconcile before you got sick to the point where your skin is falling off your bones and you just way down to your deterioration. Now we patching this thing up. We go to work every day because June played on that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Well, you can't work for Jay. You just come work for me now."
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me the 2 bathrooms to clean, and so and he paid me what $8 a week.
Mm-hmm.
No, we only made $8 a week. So he paid me. He paid me $12 a week.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I'm gonna give you 12. Just you just keep those clean for me." So I said, "Okay." So one day my grandpa came in. He says, "I guess I forgot. I took the bag of trash and I left it, and I was gonna take it outside, but I just left it right here and I was finishing up." He said, and I'm coming like me and grandpa passing by, be like this, and Uncle John and Kenny was standing right there. He said, "Tell that boy to make sure he don't forget that trash bag right there." He could have just said it to me. I never forgot that. I said, "You know what?" I said, "He's that ignorant. I am not going to speak to him." I said, "He couldn't even tell me to pick that trash, and he gonna tell somebody else sitting right there, right next to me, to tell me not to forget to pick that trash bag up." I said, "I ain't speaking to him." And we didn't speak. I was stubborn. He was stubborn. And then when that time came, that hurt me. The moral of the story is that a lot of reason why a lot of kids suffer a lot of things too is because we hold on to too much.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of us end up going to penitentiaries and being incarcerated, because stuff we hold on to that pollutes our mind,
Yes.
what makes us do things that we shouldn't do.
Yes.
Because if I had a more of a conscious mind, I would have said, you know what, no matter what this is, I'm gonna go pass that over with my grandpa because I don't know when the time is gonna end. But we hold on to so much filth and so much garbage, and we can smell it reaping out of us, but we still ignore the signs.
Mm-hmm.
And if we talk about change in the community, we have to be able to recognize and know the smell of issues that you know that's going to cause a junkyard full of crap. That's going to smell out. It's going to cause a lot of rodents and everything that And rodents don't mean physical rodents. I'm talking about all the things that's going to cause you to decay internally.
Exactly.
So we need to fix that so we can change some of our kids from going to prison, and that starts within itself. Our kids is only a byproduct of what we are. What we feed them is what they grow off of. They always say you are what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
So if you eating bull crap all day, then what you think your body gonna be made of, and why you think you're sick? Because you're full of bull crap.
Mm-hmm.
So
you gotta change your diet. You gotta change where you eat. You gotta change how you eat. You gotta change what you ingest.
And you gotta be mindful where you lay your head too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes you just lay your head anywhere. And you know what I mean? If he said the song that Daddy was a Rolling Stone, everywhere he went, he left his hat where his home was at. And some of them homes that he left his hat in wasn't a good home. You know, so we have to remember that too.
And again, realize that there's a lot of kids today that are angry for that very reason.
Yeah.
Because Daddy was a Rolling Stone. Daddy was thinking about himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't thinking about
his wife,
the families that he was leaving behind, the kids that he was leaving behind. As he went from house to house to house. And then your kids grow up. The kids grow up angry. Dad was never around. Then they find out at the funeral that they got other brothers and sisters they didn't even know about. You got other people coming out the woodwork. And it's like it's those kind of things that tear up families.
Yeah.
So we have to make it a point. We have to be intentional in our focus. Yeah. Intentional when it comes to change.
And one of the things I wanted to touch on before we end this segment, I don't never like having a disagreement with my elder. The only reason why I'm doing this because when I was talking about my grandpa, it kind of put me back over here. I don't like having a disagreement with my elder, but I always have to make sure We as an Ours is a information group. We're not a debate group. We're not a challenging each other group. We're here to have a discussion. And in the discussion, we all gonna have our own different ideologies, and we bring them to the table. It's not to be debatable, because if we're going to have a debate, believe me, these tables will be set up like there was meant for the debate. I will have papers, I will have laptops, I will have everything, so we can look stuff up right away. I'm not doing that because this is not that type of show. And so I don't like having that ill feeling that I made my neighbor or my elder angry at me. I don't like that feeling. So it did touch me, because it made me start thinking about my grandpa. That's why that subject matter came up. But I have to stand on principles. I had to stand on a principle that I said we as an hour stood for. If you read our mission statement, you'll see that it ain't say nothing about debating. You know, it says fixing the broken processes. And that's what we're here to do, try to fix the broken processes on things that are happening in our community, and the things that is holding us back, and the things that can launch us forward, if we choose to do so. So, what's your final words?
My final thought is simply this. I said it before, change starts with us. We should and must take responsibility and accountability for the change that we want to see.
Yeah. And my final thoughts is, when we talk about incarceration, there's many forms of incarceration. Having an argument with my elder, to me, it's a form of incarceration, because now it imprisons me to feel like I have to go back and fix that, because I don't like to see nothing broken. I had another similar situation. Me and my little bro, you have to learn to fix stuff, no matter how we feel. Sometimes we get so beside ourselves where we feel like we have to stand firm in something, but we don't have to take disrespect. We just have to fix the problem, but still address the disrespect. You have to still address it, but you just don't. But there's a way we can still coexist in the same room. We don't have to have separation just to fix a problem. And I just want to say that that's why our communities are in the way they are, because too many people are going in their own little private spots, and then they call you when they're in need, when something's going on. No, we should be in contact all along. Don't call me when you ain't be healed, but then you call me because you need me. No, we should have been talking all along. That little disagreement is just a disagreement. We got to learn to love each other back. We got to get that love back into our hearts, man. And if we're going to talk about scriptures, we're talking about living by the word, then the word must become a living soul, must become a body, must become a head, neck, arms, legs, feet, fingers. It has to come all of that. And the only way it's going to do that is we have to practice what we preach. And love is our greatest tool that we can use to fix any problem. As long as you love the fact that you're breathing, and we know that there's a will, that means there is a way. There's nothing we can't do. It's just if we choose to do it. But we as an hours, love, life, loyalty. Peace.
A rich man